Hey everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path, and we're picking up where we left off at Tomahawk Hut, and we're continuing on our trip here with Peter, Jenny, and their buddy Mark from Queensland. So they were originally trying to get to Craig's Hut, and I decided to go with them to Craig's Hut. I haven't been there for a year or so, and it's always a good day when you get to visit Craig's Hut. So we were discussing the easiest way to get there. And we decided to take Carter's Road. I had driven that before. Now, it is marked as difficult on the HEMA maps. I still don't know if I'd call it difficult. It's definitely medium, probably not something you want to drive in the wet, at least the later sections. You'll see from the track anyway. I can't remember if it was Carter's Road or the Westons Track sections of that were pretty rocky and pretty steep. Good fun, actually, to drive. I think it might have been this Western Track. I think Carter's Road is actually, this section even marked difficult is pretty easy. And then our plan was to take this track here and cut up through this hill up to the circuit road and then duck into Craig's Hut. This track was undrivable due to the rain that we've had, as you'll see, so we turned around and we took the King Basin Road, which is a really nice drive anyway, and we did get to go to King Hut, and then took Speculation Road back around to the Circuit Road and up to Craig's Hut, so the usual sort of way. Really fun drive this, and look, let's just get into the video, guys. Hey everyone, so here we are heading off from where we left off at Tomahawk Hut. Great little hut to visit. As you can see there, the picnic area and that is not exactly level, so not probably somewhere you want to try and camp at Tomahawk Hut. There's not a lot of level ground, but it's definitely a great hut to visit. So from here, as you heard on the intro, we're heading to Craig's Hut. And it has been a good year or so since I was last up at Craig's Hut, so was more than happy to tag along with Paul and Jenny and Mark and head up to Craig's Hut with them. So heading back down Buckland Spur towards Carter's Road. And it's not very long at all before we hit Carter's Road, and it's a very sharp left-hand turn onto Carter's Road. I left most of that footage out because if you've watched the Buckland Spur night run video, I came in this way, so there was no need to sort of repeat that footage for you. So it ended up being a bit of a three-point turn here because it came up sooner than I was expecting, and it was a much sharper turn than I was expecting. This initial section of Carter's Road is a pretty comfortable sort of run. It doesn't take long before you're on a more elevated section of track though, enjoying the view and dodging the trees that have fallen down across the track, which always seem to be a hazard in this area. It's always a nice drive heading up this way. I certainly always enjoy it when I get the opportunity to make my way up to this part of the high country around near Mount Buller. And yeah, it's not too long before we're turning on to Westons Track. So that first section on Carter's Road, pretty easy going, really a two-wheel drive road. Once we get onto Westons Track, it starts off pretty easy. It certainly does become a lot more rocky, as you're sort of seeing here now on the screen, and there's certainly some sections that I don't think this video really does justice. There were certainly some steep loose sections that we were descending on this section of track, and yeah, they were a little bit loose to say the least. Good steady rocky climb here, plenty of traction. As I said, there's been some rain during the week, so that sort of usually helps bed some of these tracks in a little bit. particularly when the surface is still reasonably dry. It typically will mean that you've got decent traction. The surface has got water sitting on it and it's wet, well, forget about it. And if it's clay, we all know how that goes. So you can see the car moving around a fair bit. This is reasonably bumpy, this section, and I feel like this section coming up here was one of the sort of rockier, steep descent parts. Again, on camera you wouldn't really rate it, but you can see how much the car's moving around. And there were certainly sections through here where we all sort of felt like we lost a little bit of traction. Not to mention, at times you need to get kind of close to the edge to dodge those trees that have fallen down across parts of the track through here. This was certainly a lot rockier than I remembered it from the last time I drove it, which would be in the Pajero, probably 2, maybe even 3 years ago. I feel like that was back in 2021 sometime. Came through with a bunch of guys. We came over Buckland Spur, and that was one of the first times I think that I've been to Tomahawk Hut, and I think that was back in 2021. As you can see here, the track again has become fairly easy to drive. A bit of water around on the track. Once again, it's not too long and you're sort of heading down again. Keep in mind we're looking to link up with Basin Road. Well, the first part of Basin Road, and the intention was to then head up via another track, which didn't end up panning out for us, as you'll see in a little bit when we get there. Yep, so just making sure that I've got it in the right gear there. You can see how rocky that is on the left there. A lot of loose rock. This was, I think, definitely one of those sections where there was a few sort of holes in the track and quite steep. There's me hitting the horn as I'm trying to hang onto the steering wheel going down, and yeah, definitely something that I think we thought going up would be a whole different barrel of fish. Again, you get through a couple of sections like that and you're back to a fairly steady, straightforward sort of drive. Very scenic through here, as it is in most of the high country. And you could hear the engine braking there. Second gear, low range. Most of the time on a descent in the 76 gives me more than enough engine braking to control my speed with the vehicle at the weight that it is currently. Quite a nice view off to the left there as we're working our way down this hill. And as I said, this section of track was all in pretty good nick after we got past those initial parts. You can see here one of those classic hairpins coming up that are so prolific on high country tracks. And an old farm gate here, so this is not actually one of the seasonal closure gates. It's just remnants from when this was farmland. Could actually still be farmland, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is state forest through here, and we come into the national park later on, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So a little stream crossing here, quite innovative the way they've done this. So that's concreted with gaps in between the concrete so the water can flow down in between. and basically so you can maintain a nice level surface for your vehicle. It makes the crossing very easy and isn't going to erode anytime soon. Now I think that was one of the little side streams that feed into the King River. And working our way along here, we're just coming up on Black Landing Track, and we had intended to take this up to Circuit Road. It's a pretty straight run of about 4 k's up to Circuit Road. And it started off quite okay. As we got a little bit further up the track, you can see evidence of water or previous vehicle traffic having started to create some ruts, indicating the track was a little soft. You can hear the engine there working a little harder. Got through to this gravelled section. Looked like it had some maintenance work, and that was certainly much better traction, and it felt a lot more stable. And so at this point, we're still pretty hopeful that we're actually going to get through up to the Circuit Road, which would have saved us a bucket load of time, because from there it was only going to be a few k's down to Clear Hills Track to head up to Craig's Hut. But again, the gravel ran out and we're back onto this softer dirt / clay, and you can probably get a sense there just looking at that it's a very waterlogged surface at this point, particularly from the rain in the last week or so. So trying to keep my momentum up and keep my speed up. Again, you can see evidence here, and somebody has already had a go and found this sort of challenging, and yeah, it just wasn't to be. You can see how soft that is there. And I'm just trying to reverse up back to that hump that I came over. I do have the guys behind me, so just got to be conscious of that. Talking to them on the radio, and just trying to get the best possible run up that I can. It does firm up a little bit once you get further back towards the hump there, and I'm trying to stay out of those previous tracks, but the rear tyre sort of slipped in there and it's just not doing it for me.
Possibly should have put while I was ahead.
And yeah, it's pretty clear this is just too wet and too soft to really succeed. One last go, and that's not going to happen. So yeah, turned around. There was no sense trying to winch up there. It would have been winching for all three of us. We were probably 2/3 of the way up, which is a shame, and the rest of this track's been pretty easy to drive. All it takes though to make a track difficult is that one clay hill, one soft or slippery or exceptionally rocky clay hill, and that's all it took. So we decided, rather than trying to push on up that track, we would just head back to King Basin Road and head around to King Hut. Now I was a little apprehensive about going that way because long-time watchers of the channel would remember last time I tried to head down through to King Hut, I ended up bogged in a fairly decent sized bog hole with the car up at about a 30-degree angle, and had to winch out because the track north of King Hut to get onto Speculation Road was pretty ordinary. So I was thinking about that. But in the interim, we're making our way there. Again, another little crossing there with concrete sleepers sort of forming that crossing and maintaining a good solid base for you. So it makes the crossing nice and easy. Get some sense here, even on this track, of it having been wet and a little slippery. So not being able to take Black Landing track, this has probably added a good 20 k's, 25 k's to our journey. But you know, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Again, even on this corner here, you can see the track's kind of soft, so giving it plenty of momentum just to keep going and make it up this sort of slippery climb here. It was pretty slippery, but again, once you get through that section, the next bit here was pretty good, a lot firmer base, a little bit of gravel mixed into it. Certainly kept us on our toes heading along King Basin Road here. You never quite knew what the next crest of the hill was going to bring you, and it's very different to how I remember it from a few years ago. Last time I drove it, I remember this section being quite an easy drive till we get down to the latter section, sort of a bit closer to King Hut. It was quite rocky and at the time quite wet down there. And you'll see that very shortly as we're starting to get there. So first big crossing. I've never been here when these have been particularly deep. I'm sure at certain times they do get deep, but given that this track is seasonally closed, you're not driving through here in the middle of winter. So generally it's, you know, halfway up your wheels, that's about it. A couple of little muddy puddles on the exit, and another one there that looked a bit suspicious, so I elected to pass him. And you can see there a bit of erosion on the track on the left hand side. I think some rocks have been placed there to try and mitigate that. And once again we're back to a reasonable sort of track. But still with plenty of puddles here and there. This one there really wasn't an option but to drive through it, and getting onto that section of track that's quite rocky. I remembered this well from last time I drove it. There was actually more water on it back then. Pretty sure there was a photo of the pads driving down along here with water spraying up that I used as a thumbnail for the video last time we came along here. And yeah, there was more water than that here at that time, but the earlier section of track was drier on that trip, so go figure. Quite a rocky little track as we're approaching another river crossing just up here, and you can see they're sort of slowed right down, first gear low range, just trying to crawl over these. Now look, I think I was running probably 25 psi. I think at the start of the video, I think I said I dropped it to 22. Certainly could have dropped the pressure a little more. I really don't think that would have helped out all that much on Black Landing track at all. Yeah, just stuck with the 22 psi, and yeah, coming up here to yet another crossing. You can see there the crossing itself is fairly shallow, but when you look to the left there, it does look quite a bit deeper. You certainly can't see the bottom, so I wouldn't want to stray too far off that line crossing there. Nice little campsite area just up here on the left hand side there. Reasonably flat and grassed. and yeah, it's not very long at all before, surprise surprise, yet another crossing. So not as prolific as some tracks in the high country, but certainly a lot of river crossings here. A couple of big rocks, one there on the right and one coming up on the left that you probably don't want to drive over. And the exit's nicely stabilised with some rocks sort of pressed into the track there. And yeah, we're back onto another good section of track. It's definitely a nice drive down along here, so if you haven't done it, I'd certainly recommend it. It'd make a good sort of day or two trip. You could start off camping up at Lake William Hovell. There's plenty of campsites around there. Come over Buckland Spur and along Basin Road here, and ultimately then camp at King Hut if you wanted to, or if you don't mind longer days like me in the saddle, you can head up to Craig's Hut. There is a campground near there, but it's often taken. You can see just how eroded the track through here is. Really is a choose your own adventure there, as you sort of try and wend your way around those eroded holes in the track, and lo and behold, we've got another river crossing. Fairly shallow either side here, and a pretty rocky sort of crossing. As expected, before not too long, here we are approaching the King Hut area. So there's a campground or campsite area on this side of the river. King Hut does sit on the King River, so a couple of people camping there, and then you've got the river crossing here, and King Hut is just on the other side of this crossing. If anything, I'd say the water level here is down from last time I was here, and very rocky entrance, as you can see there. And again, looking to the right, it does get somewhat deeper than the actual crossing area. So again, one where you want to really maintain your line on that crossing. And there's King Hut just up ahead. And now there was quite a large group of hikers camping here at the time. That's all those little blue tents. So I didn't sort of go over and take too much footage of King Hut itself. I have filmed the inside of King Hut on that previous trip video, so if you want to check that out, by all means look that video up on the channel. Just pulling over here, getting ready to stop. Well, here we are at King Hut. All a little the worse for wear, a little muddy. We just had come through the crossing, so the tyres are clean. All the vehicles are carrying a bit of mud. There's a big group camped here. Hut's looking great, as it always does. Got a fire going. So yeah, look, it's been a great trip with Paul and Mark. It's been nice of them to let me tag along. We're on our way up to Craig's Hut. We tried one track and that was just too soft to get up there, so we're going to take the main Basin Road. That should be fine. We're not going to tackle Monument. We're going to go around and take the easy way in. So we'll see how that goes for us today. It is getting late in the day, and then head home after that. So it's been good fun coming down along the Basin track again. It's even rockier than last time I was here. So yeah, really good. It's a nice opportunity just to stop there at Craig's Hut and stretch the legs. And as I said, didn't want to disturb that group too much. so didn't go over into the hut. Now was the time to find out what condition the track north of King Hut Speculation Road was in, and it didn't take very long for me to get some sort of an answer. Decent hole there on the left hand side, and more of the same coming up. You can see there's a little bypass track up high on the left side, and I was wondering why that was there, and as I got up here I found out why. Decent sized hole in the middle of the track, but didn't have a lot of water or mud in it, so I was happy to sort of drive through that one nice and slow and steady. Again, a little bit of a choose your own adventure here. There's a bypass track on the left, there's a big hole there on the right, and a skinny section here on top. You can see I've gone a little bit sideways there. That was a little bit gnarly. I didn't want those front wheels going in, that's for sure. And a little bit of gas on the way out just to get through and out. So quickly jumped on the radio, said to the guys behind me that they might want to take that left line. That was a little bit gnarly, that's for sure. And once again, we're faced with the choice, left or right. Just pulled up to have a good look at it and try and gauge how deep that puddle on the right might be. And on balance, I've decided that really the left-hand bypass looks better. And so it was. So elected to take that around the tree. It's a pretty popular area around King Hut, so I dare say parks are aware of the condition of this track, and if they haven't already, probably will look to do something about it. It is seasonally closed over winter, so that may be the opportune time for them to look to do some works here. Once again, left or right, so look at left, that was a big puddle. There was starting to rain and there was no easy way without getting out to figure out how deep that might be, whereas these were pretty manageable looking ruts, so decided to take this right hand route and work my way around that big puddle. Again, decently off camber there. And keeping in mind too, at this point on the 76, I'm still running those road bias road terrain tyres, and this is definitely not the kind of stuff that they're made to tackle. Rain's getting a little bit heavier, you can see there collecting on the GoPro case as it does. Unfortunately, it's not too much further, and here we are turning right onto Speculation Road, which is going to take us back to the main circuit road ultimately. So I was pretty happy once we're on Speculation Road that the rest of this track should be in fairly decent condition. It is one of the main sort of access roads. So we're just heading along the circuit road up to the start of the Clear Hills track up to Craig Hut. The Hero 8's having an issue, so yeah, filming this with the GoPro 7 in the car. Weather's come out cracking this late in the afternoon. We've had a bit of rain, but beautiful clear skies. We should get some magic views from up on Craig's Hut. So it's been nearly a year since I was last up there, so wasn't really planned for today, but that's the way it's happened. So yeah, nice to get back there. So here's the car park coming up. We'll see if we can fix the Hero 8. So as it happened, was able to pull up here at the car park at the end of the Clear Hills track, and a battery change and a few resets, so the Hero 8 got it working again. So we're just heading up here onto the Clear Hills track to head up to Craig's Hut. So this is a short 3-kilometre run from here straight up to Craig's Hut. I haven't included a lot of this track footage in this video simply because ultimately it hadn't changed a whole lot from when I filmed my video, The Easy Way to Craig's Hut. So if you do want to see this whole track, because I did film on that video the entire track from the car park there up to Craig's Hut, check that video out, The Easy Way to Craig's Hut, and you'll see that whole video. So here we are, 3Ks later, just arriving at the entrance to Craig's Hut. And as I said, it is a pretty easy drive along there. A lot of people seem to have found that Easy Way to Craig's Hut video really helpful. So if you're not been up here before and you want to check that out, find that one on the channel. I will endeavour to put a link to it down below in the video description to make it a little easier to find. So there's a few different parking areas here when you get up to Craig's Hut. Just on the left over there is where the long drop toilets actually are. Picnic and barbecue area there straight ahead, and steps there from the car park up to the track to get to the hut, which is not far at all. So just parking around the corner here. Plenty of parking spaces. Well, we've made it to Craig's Hut once again. So let's go and enjoy the view. Never gets old. It really doesn't ever get old. What a view. Quite an interesting hut, Craig's Hut too, of course, having been built for the Man from Snow River movie. It's very different to most of the high country huts. It's certainly built in the style of high country huts, but very different. Certainly worse views from your front porch that you could have. And as I said, we were very lucky the weather did clear. Now I'm not sure what happened on this trip. I thought I took some footage inside the hut, but didn't seem to have any. So again, that Easy Way to Craig's Hut video will have some of that for you. So look, it was a great day out. Shout out to Paul and Jen and Mark for letting me tag along with those guys. Back on the road here heading home. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Like this video if you liked it. Always love to see comments and questions down below, and I do respond to each and every one of them. And think about subscribing to the channel. If you want to support what we do, you can jump onto our Buy Me a Coffee page. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.